But what is not going to happen is the man wants a service provider and the woman wants a best friend. Mush mumkin, yani. It's not going to happen. Was it the Grim Reaper comes with his scythe and he says, I'm going to take you now. And you're like, no, give me another week. Give me another month. Give me 2 years. I got stuff to do. Look, angel of death comes. It's over. It's not even real anyway. It's just staged or whatever the case may be. We start to believe it. Like that is what a house should look like. That's what a bedroom should look like. This is what a holiday should look like. This is what a family should look like. And that comparison with an edited ideal is unhealthy.
Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to Faithful Invested, a podcast brought to you by the MCCA Income Fund. Today we have a very special guest all the way from the UK, Sr Naima B. Robert, who's an author, mother of 5. She's pretty much a superwoman, subhanAllah. Welcome to the podcast, Sr Naima.
Jazakallah khairan. Assalamu alaikum. It's wonderful to be here, mashallah. But you know what you are saying speaks to the type of relationship I think that people are looking for. And it differs. Not everybody sees the husband and wife relationship in the same way. Some women, let's start with women. Some women are happy to have a provider / sugar daddy / whatever. Just treat me like a princess. I'm good. I don't need deen. I don't need conversations. Just give me a good life and I'm happy, right? There are women like that. Then there are other women who are like, no, I want a best friend. I want somebody who understands me, who sees me, who gets me, right? Those men are not the same necessarily, right? And then it's, I think with men as well, this is very, very common, is that there are men who see their wife as a service provider. She's there to cook, to look after me, to have children, look after the home. If she can do that, we're good. I'm going to be happy with that. I don't have an issue with that. I don't have an idea of, my wife should be my best friend or we should be able to have deep conversations. I've got my boys for that. I've got my family for that. Alhamdulillah, I've got my deen for that, whatever. Then there are men who are like, no, I want a woman who understands me, gets me, who I can build with, and etc. And I think if those people who want the same thing can find each other, they can make it work, inshallah.
A story, especially like leading up to getting married, I feel like the most important thing was I stuck to my guns and I understood that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can make anything happen at any given moment.
SubhanAllah. That's true.
That's very true. For me, it was just like I heard this quote, subhanAllah, when you pray for rain, you take your umbrella. Yeah?
Allahu Akbar.
Take your umbrella.
No, it's true. My friend Ali Omriyan, probably familiar with her, mashallah. And we were having this conversation about, compatibility and finding someone and all of these things that everybody is asking about. And she said to me something that I really held on to, which is, it's easy for Allah. Whatever you want, it's easy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? You're not asking for literal unicorn. It's just a certain type of person, a certain type of woman, a certain type of man. And that is easy for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if he chooses, he'll give it to you. So never, like you said, think, it's impossible. I've spoken to this many men or this many women, etc., and I haven't seen X, Y, Z. It's impossible. Not impossible. Sometimes you may have to wait a little longer. Sometimes there are lessons you need to learn along the way. Maybe there are ways in which you need to be prepared. And I think it's the same for not just looking for a spouse, but also finding a spouse, losing a spouse, right? Joining with someone, parting with someone. All of those are lessons, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to put us through our paces. And that's the fact of it. We are going to be put through our paces. So of course, everyone's ideal is that you have a dream of who you're looking for. You find that person quickly, right? You get married, your families love each other, and you have children and you live happily ever after. That's the dream. And I think that that's probably everybody's dream. But we know from life that that's not how it always works out. In fact, it very rarely works out like that. There will be losses along the way. There will be missteps. And it's really about, what are we learning? How is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refining us through this process? How are we being called to be a better version of ourselves as a result of losing this? Whatever the case may be, subhanAllah. And I think the deen gives us such a philosophical approach to life because it's just dunya at the end of the day.
Yep.
You know what I mean? I think it's just dunya.
Allah.
And the ultimate goal is to return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon khair, for Allah to forgive our sins and enter us into Jannah. And as long as we can reach that, whatever happens along the way, it's just dunya. But it's hard. It's hard. When you're in it, it's difficult to kind of have that philosophical 100%. Detachment from it and stoicism. But 100%. I think it's helpful.
And I think nobody's like better at describing that specific situation that you're mentioning than yourself, subhanAllah. And if anyone hasn't seen it, I think I'll link the video below just so anyone can see your story of obviously Allah yarhamu, your ex-husband or your husband that passed away. I feel like, and subhanAllah, there's a lot of lessons to draw from, and I'm pretty sure that every time you reflect, you'll find a new lesson.
So you touched on like how we have to always recognize and come to the realization this is just dunya, right? And like how easy is that for us to say it? Like we just say
Very
it.
easy to say.
But to really believe in that and to have that in your core values in everything you do, in all of your decision making, when you're making intention, it's so difficult, right? Because it's almost like you don't think about it. I'm buying this car, I'm buying this house, I'm starting a relationship with this person, I'm treating my son a certain way, I'm treating my daughter a certain way. In everyday operations and decision making, how do we implement that? Well, what's the, is it something that we need to start doing in terms of visiting the graves more often? I don't know. Is it like something, help us understand, Sister Naima, like when you say it with such conviction, we know that this is like how you're living. It's almost vicarious, like almost through life with the responsibilities and roles that you have as a mother, as a wife, etc., as a community leader, as a da'i. Like, so how do we implement it?
SubhanAllah, I think it's a very, very deep question. And like you said at the start, it's easy to say, right? But of course, the dunya has a way of embedding us and enmeshing us into its machinations. But I think that idea of holding the dunya in your hand and not in your heart, I think is a really helpful guiding principle, because we're going to make the effort. We are going to make the effort. We're going to make the plans. We're going to have the vision board. We're going to have the meetings and take the opportunities. We're going to do all of the things because we've been put on this earth to do those things. But ultimately, the outcome is not in our hands. And that's where the detachment comes from. Because if it doesn't turn out the way that I planned, am I okay with that? Or is this going to mean I'm a failure, I'm a this, I'm a that, this, and all of the negative stuff. And I find that if we have the dunya in our hand, it's like, I wanted this thing. Maybe I wanted it really badly. I thought it was the best thing for me, but it didn't come to pass. Can you then say, Alhamdulillah ala kulli hal? Because I know that if that thing doesn't happen, it was not meant to be. And that's where that kind of stoicism comes in. It's like, when people have this idea, the one that got away, that really famous idea, the one that got away, it's like there's this alternative version of reality. The thing, is it called Sliding Doors, the movie where basically if you take one decision, this story happens. And if you take this one, a different story happens. This dunya isn't really like that. They aren't alternate versions of your reality where you married that person and then you had that life. You went to university here and you had that life. There's just one. It's the one you're in. So whatever happens in your life is what is meant to happen. There isn't an alternative out there. And you, of course, only know in hindsight, because that's the way Allah has set the game up, is that you're taking decisions not knowing what the outcome is going to be. But once the outcome is there, then you know that was the outcome. And you could have done this or gone that way, you still would have reached that outcome. It's like the end of our lives. You know how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that if I have decreed for my servant to die in a certain place, I will make a reason for my servant to go there. So you don't know that. SubhanAllah, we went to Malawi for a family function, and we took my uncle with us, my dad's friend. It's not really my uncle, but we took him with us, and he hadn't been to Malawi before. He was really excited and everything. And SubhanAllah, I don't want this to kind of shock anybody, but he drowned in Lake Malawi. What are the odds? He's never been to Malawi before. He's a strong swimmer, but Allah had written that his life would end there. And that for me is like, obviously it's so shocking for something like that to happen. I'm sorry, I just dropped that on you. No, but it's for me, it was this evidence that Allah's plan is always his plan, and we don't know what his plan is. Right? We do not know what he has in store for us, that when we make this decision, that's the outcome that's going to be. But all you can do at the end is say, this is what was meant to be, because this is what happened, and then it's like, okay, what's the lesson for me? What's the learning? What was I supposed to learn from this? Can I accept this? Because, we talk about, accepting the Qadr and everything like it's easy. I'll tell you that I struggled with that. And I struggled with it because I was thinking to myself, it's my fault. SubhanAllah, can you imagine? And I'm somebody who, I know the deen, right? I know Qadr, I understand it and everything. But my nafs or my heart was like, if I hadn't told him to come, if I hadn't brought him, he would still be alive. And my friend had to say to me, no, that's not how it works. You know, he was meant we are here for an appointed time. That's it. And you can't bargain with death. You cannot bargain with death. Whoa, was it the Grim Reaper comes with his scythe and he says, I'm going to take you now. And you're like, no, give me another week, give me another month, give me 2 years. I got stuff to do. Look, angel of death comes, it's over. SubhanAllah. And being able to accept that and trust in Allah's wisdom. It's tough. It's hard for us. I'm not going to say that it's easy, but if we can, it allows us to let go of so much of the stuff that can be such a burden for us, right? Whether it's guilt, whether it's shame, right? Whether it's self-blame, etc. And all the meanings that we attach to things. It's like a divorce, for example, right? No, nobody gets married to get a divorce, right? Most of us are not intending to break ties with someone and someone's family and all of the stuff that goes with it, right? Because, SubhanAllah, sorry, I'm going off on a tangent here, but I find that when we think of divorce, we think of, I'm leaving this man. I'm getting rid of this woman. Khalas, I'm done. I can't take it anymore, right? But the reality of a divorce is not just those two who are breaking up something that they made together. Usually they're home together, etc. So that's going to change. The impact it has on the children and the families and the community. So where at one point you had in-laws, maybe you used to see those in-laws every week, or every month, or there was stuff that you guys did together. You're friends with your brother-in-law, like your dad, your father-in-law loves you like a son, takes you golfing and everything. So now all of those relationships are basically in a state of jeopardy. So it's much, much bigger than just two people. It's often, two families plus sometimes extended families and a community sometimes, because sometimes communities get involved, don't they? So nobody plans for a divorce, but divorces happen. So once we know that we're going to be tested, bad stuff is going to happen. It really is a case of, okay, I didn't intend for this. I didn't plan for this. It's a big deal, but how am I going to grow from this? How am I going to learn from this? Did I make any mistakes that I need to seek forgiveness for? Is there any part of my character that I need to purify? Anything that I need to change moving forward so that this coming apart ends up being something that is khair for me, right? Because there's khair in everything, right? There's good in everything, even bad things, right? Look at the story of Al-Qadr, right? Everything bad, there's something happening on the other side, whether it's dunya or akhirah, which is good, because Allah has written good for us. So if we look at, a person who dies in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's a tragedy. He is no longer alive. His wife is a widow. His children are orphans. His family mourns him. Maybe the government got involved or whatever the case may be, right? So that's a tragedy. It's bad. But what is the state of that person? Where is the good in that situation? Inshallah, Allah has accepted him as a shaheed, right? Inshallah, he died in the way of Allah. Inshallah, it will increase the iman of some people who hear his story, or maybe his wife, etc. So it's like, we can't deep it. We really cannot deep the wisdom of Allah that operates on so many different levels, because our lives are not just the surface. There's what you see on the surface, then there's what's happening internally, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in the person, in this person, in that person who's observing, in this person who's helping out. There's like so much happening, and we've got no idea of where the khair is, but you trust that there is khair and it's going to be fine, inshallah.
There's a lot of secondhand trauma I've noticed from the community, and I genuinely, I can't believe it, because people watch your podcast or a clip on social media, then some lady, you don't even know if it's for real, and they read like scenarios, and they'll be like, this girl found her husband and he was doing this, and then this girl found her father, and they're throwing stories out, and the sad thing is that we don't have the ability to actually like filter through these stories and all these things that they see, and this is something of people that I know from my circle, they'll really internalize it, and it'll get to the point where it will affect the relationship that they have.
True,
and then they'll actually maneuver in a manner where they're either overprotective or they're lacking trust, and it's because of something they had heard or read on social
From
media.
someone they don't even know.
And
Personally,
honestly,
like, subhanallah.
and they can't even filter whether or not it was true.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where they were controlling their scenarios in their, from whatever means they thought they could. They were controlling that scenario from not occurring to them. And it's like they end up damaging their relationship in that
How
regard.
sad. Wallah, how sad.
But it gets to that point, subhanAllah, where I feel like the big machine, which is the media machine, subhanAllah, gets to the point where it's not only damaging people from the perspective of obviously exposing them to like such like.
I know exactly what you're referring to. I know exactly. I saw a video. I saw a video about 2 weeks ago that shocked me.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this actually real? I had to question if this is real, you know. And it was like some sister reading these things out of a jar that some of her clients had left for her, and it's all about trauma and situations that have happened to them in their lives that were just abhorrent. Like I can't even repeat some of the stories, right? And she's reading it like out of entertainment. This is a sister from the community,
Right.
and I was watching it thinking, is this real? And so that people are hearing this and they're actually implementing in their lives the ways that they can restrict that or stop that from happening.
Yeah.
Going back to Sr Naima's topic on, you know, letting go and understanding the Qadr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and in the situation of divorce, we hear in the community, in our families, in our personal lives, in everything, when divorce happens, usually a lot of bitterness comes out. A lot of bad things come out of divorce. So it doesn't just break the family, the community, the outer family, the extended family, the friends, you know, the son that's going to golf with his father-in-law. It also, it breaks, I think you'd said it, like it sometimes can break that fabric of society. You know, when you look at couples that have divorced and they've divorced so honorably, subhanAllah, like it might sound weird to say, but it's actually something so beautiful.
No, it is.
Like they respect each other so much.
That you said the key word there, right? Respect. And if you can maintain respect in any altercation, what happens? It becomes beautiful, right? Because you're not going to sink below a particular level. Whether it's a business disagreement, whether it's a divorce, whether it's custody, whatever it is, we should be Muslims. We should maintain our Muslim adab. You know what I'm saying? Like backbiting, for example. It's haram. It's haram. It's actually a really serious crime in Islam, right? But when it comes to divorce and custody and stuff, it's all right, mate. Like, I'm going to tell you every single thing. I'm going to go on social media and say what happened and this and this and this. And we completely lose sight of the things that could have de-escalated the situation. You know what I'm saying? And maybe even contained some of that sort of radioactive emotion, just contained it a little bit. Because, for example, you imagine that, you know, you're upset. I get it. You're upset. You know, the person did whatever they did, etc. Okay. What do? You tell your sister. Your sister tells your mum, or you go and tell your brother tells your dad or whatever. Then that spreads throughout the family. What happens when they next see that person? They got a chip on their shoulder because like, I know what you did and you made our person upset. And then you've got a whole situation now where it's not just you who is in conflict with this person. It's like your whole family is in conflict with that person. And then looking at his family in a particular way or her family in a particular way. So that element of, again, it's attachment. It's attachment to an ideal, an outcome, a vision that you had, right? And the pain of having to accept that is not the reality, that's not the truth. That's not my story. It's very, very difficult. But that's because you're attached to this ideal and you can't deal with the fact that this is not what you've been given, right? I'm angry about that. It's your fault. You did this to me. You did this to me. Oh, but where's Qadr in that? Where's Tawakkul in that? You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying that this is like, this doesn't take away from the culpability of a person who is behaving out of pocket, man or woman, right? If you're being a brat, right? If you're being violent or any of these things, Allah's going to deal with you because that's your account at the end of the day, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to deal with you and you're going to have to answer for those deeds. But I think when we're looking at our relationships with people, understanding that they're just a vessel, right? They're just a vehicle. They're just a vehicle for whatever Allah wants me to have. So maybe this man is a vehicle for my 3 children. Maybe this woman is a vehicle for my stability in my home. You know what I'm saying? Like everything is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ultimately. And I think the more that you can cultivate that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the trust in Allah's plan for you, the less you are hard on the people to live up to your expectations of, I wanted this, I needed that, like I deserve this, and that's what you're supposed to give me. Yani people are just human beings at the end of the day, flawed as we are, all of us, subhanAllah. And just having mercy on the people, especially when people mean well, because like I said, there's brats and there's violent people, whatever. Usually they don't mean well, even though they probably have their own issues that they haven't yet dealt with, right? But if a person is doing their best and they don't live up to your standard or your vision or your expectation, have mercy on the people, subhanAllah. You know, and trust that Allah, whatever Allah has written for you will never miss you. And whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not written for you, you will never get it. No matter how demanding you are, no matter how commanding you are, no matter how many things you put in place, whatever is not written for you, it's never coming your way. So that level of tawakkul in that, I entrust my journey to Allah. This whole life and everything that's going to happen, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it's all part of Allah's plan for me.
So everything has to be just anchored towards that. If it's not, then we can just expect to live in a way that we're just going to crumble.
Miserable.
Because whatever comes to us, we're just going to break down and crumble.
Because we never ask for the tests. That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
There's no test that you can say, I'll take that one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that sounds good. Yeah, I'll take. No.
Actually,
there's no test.
Interestingly enough, we don't ask for them, but Allah knows exactly which tests are best for us.
Exactly.
I think, was it you that told me?
The Baba? Yeah.
You throw all of everyone's problems. Everyone was in the same room. We all threw our problems in the air.
Yeah.
You would definitely, if you saw everyone else's, you'd reach to grab your own.
100%. I love that analogy. That's so cool because it's so true.
Yeah.
If you know what people are going through, sometimes you know, sometimes you don't, right? But as I said in the room at the event, we had people raise their hands if they've been through some kind of trial and if they think they're going to go through a trial in the future. And of course, everybody raised their hand because that's the reality of this life. That is the experience of this dunya, is that you will be tested and tried. So everybody knew that, right? And I said, if you knew everybody's situation, I don't think that you would pick anyone else's situation over yours. Even though you think yours is so bad, would I rather have that miscarriage? Would I rather have that infertility? Would I rather have that bankruptcy? Would I rather have that, dysfunction? Do you know what? Let me just deal with what I got to deal with because Allah has picked it specially for me. Because Allah knows what I'm capable of. And even that, the certainty in the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He says that I will not burden a soul more than it can bear. What does that tell you? Whatever comes your way, you've got this. Allah will help you. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't send us tests to destroy us or humiliate us or, drag us in the dirt. No. I will go, inshallah, to my grave saying this same thing and believing this same thing. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts my way, I'm up for it. I'm strong enough for it. Allah knows that either I have it already or I can get it, or He's going to send someone to help me. But my Lord is a Lord who wants us to win. He wants us to succeed. He wants us to pass the test. So He will never leave me out there in the wilderness. I just don't believe that. So whatever it is, if money's tight, if a relationship isn't working out, if a child is struggling, whatever the case may be, it's like, it's okay. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has got me and I've got this because this is what He's chosen for me. So yani, if He's chosen it for me, that means I must be up to it. So even if I don't feel like I'm up to it right now, I'm going to get moving, with the understanding that it's okay, because if this is what's been placed before me, then inshallah I can manage it. I can handle it.
I think one of the, just to echo your point, I think one of the most amazing things about the Quran is that they're not just stories.
No.
There's lessons in every single story, in every single story of any prophet or anything. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that we will learn from storytelling. And subhanAllah, the story of Surah Taha, of the story of Musa alayhi salam, not just saying it because it's my son's name, but his story, subhanAllah, always really resonated with me. And I think one of the most amazing portions of Surah Taha was when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks to Musa directly. And basically Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling Musa, this is what I've basically taken you as the one to do this particular task. You're going to take on Fir'aun. And Musa says, this is God. Like he's not talking to like, one of the boys. Like one of the boys or maybe the king even. He's talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala directly. And subhanAllah, Allah didn't go to Musa and say like, are you all right? Are you okay? Like,
do you accept?
You're talking to Allah. You're like, who are you to give me like back and forth? God told him, hang on a second. Here's the resume of things that I've done in your life to show you that I got your back.
Subhanallah. Yeah? Wow.
And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obviously, subhanAllah, he just told him, I had you when you were in the basket, when you were a baby, you ended up there. Next minute, you were with your mum and you were completely fine. And then it gets to the point where you reflect on those stories and those stories of the prophets in the Quran, and then you see that correlation with life in general. And then you understand, hang on a second, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the most, like we shouldn't even ask, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sami'na wa ata'na, it should be that. But he put in the Quran, in Surah Taha, that he had a conversation with a prophet. And the prophet was telling him, I'm probably not fit for this task, I can't do it. And he reassured him. He didn't crack the whip. He told him, I got you.
I got you.
Don't worry.
I got you.
So subhanAllah, like.
How many, oh wow. Jazakallah khairan for sharing that, subhanAllah. Because I just think, how many times has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala shown us that he's got us? We're still scared. We still lack confidence. We still are not sure whether we can manage this or that. But if you sit down and you look back and you think of the times that you needed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and he came through for you, I think it would make us see like challenges differently. Because, we're still here, and that's what I always reflect on, the fact that, in spite of whatever we've been through, we're still here. We still have Iman. We still have love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We still want to do the right thing. We still have love for our brothers and our sisters and our families. We're still able to serve. We're still able to stand up every day and do what needs to be done. That's big. That's big because, and I say this because not everyone is still here. There's people who tap out. There are people who tap out, whether they tap out and they say, I don't need this religion thing anymore, or, I don't believe in God anymore, or I want to end my life, whatever the case may be. There are people who tap out, like with mothers. And I think fathers need to hear this as well, right? Because often we have very little appreciation for the work that parents do, but I think especially mothers and especially fathers for some reason. But the fact that you're still working in the home, at the office, whatever it is, to put food on the table, to cook the food, to feed the kids, etc., right? A lot of women don't take on board the magnitude of that, mothers especially, right? They don't take on board the magnitude. Maybe fathers don't either, but we never hear fathers talking. So maybe you're going to have to tell us. But with mothers, they think that they're failures. They think that they're not doing anything important. They compare themselves to other women who maybe are seen as much more successful in society, whether they're in public or they're working or they're making money or whatever. And a lot of mothers feel down on themselves. And I like to remind them, and I want to say this for the brothers as well, for the fathers, there are parents who tap out. Not every mother nurtures her children. Not every mother feeds her children. Not every mother sacrifices for her children. Not every father sacrifices for his children. Not every father works 2 or 3 jobs in order to put money to put food on the table, to pay the bills and stuff. If you are doing that, you're doing great. You're still here. You're still in the arena. You're still fighting basically. And that's something that it should tell you something about who you are. You're not a quitter. There are people who quit. You're not one of them. You're a fighter. You're a survivor. These are these are identities that you should embody so that you can feel good about what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. Because if you're just doing those things, whether you're the father or the mother or whatever your role is, and you're just like, yeah, I'm just doing what I'm supposed to do. Like, what's the big deal? Like, everyone's doing it, and I don't even care or whatever. It's almost like I'm a victim of my circumstances. What else am I supposed to do? No, you're doing what you're meant to do. Yeah. And that's an amazing thing, mashallah. And that's an investment in your children's future. which is ultimately all of our futures. You know, so it's a bit of a tangent,
No, it's
but I
actually
think
a
it's,
very good-
subhanallah.
It's a very good tangent because from themselves and their relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of pregnancy, because
Right.
of being a mother. And like what's your perspective on that to
Subhanallah.
kind of ease them?
Yeah, no, because postpartum and definitely menses in Ramadan. Those times are times where women feel that sense of, I'm not able to do what others are doing. If it's your first Ramadan, either pregnant or postpartum or with a young child, and you're not able to fast, if you're not able to go to Tarawih every day like you did before, this really weighs on sisters, right? And I liken it to sort of if a man, for example, lost his job or he somehow got a disability or he's bedridden or whatever. It's the same thing, right? I can't go to the masjid to pray. I can't go to Jummah, et cetera, et cetera. And what I would say to anybody who's experiencing that, but especially like our young mums, is that there's a season for everything. And the fact that you are able to, in Allah's deen, take a break from fasting because you may be breastfeeding or you may be late stage pregnancy or whatever the case may be, this is a mercy from Allah. It's not a punishment. It's a mercy. There are some groups out there who I feel penalize women for how God made them, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us to nurture life. So if Allah has chosen you to nurture life, this is something to be grateful for. And if he's even given you the extra ease of saying you don't have to fast at this time, or I'm not expecting you to go for tahajjud at this time, say alhamdulillah, take the ease and give your body its haqq. Give your baby its haqq. It's okay. It's okay because our lives as women are very much cyclical. We don't always the same. We don't have like the same setup from 16 all the way to 60. No, we are going to be in cycles. We'll be in seasons, our bodies change, what our capability changes, etc. And really, it's something to embrace because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows he's the one who created us and he's built the deen and set the deen up so that we can win, right? Imagine now, I've heard, back in the day, some sisters used to argue that, the fact that women don't have to pray in the masjid is part of sort of Islam being unfair on women. And it's like, really? How and where? Let the men go to the masjid to pray, 5 times a day, etc. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the facility and the ease to not have to do that, alhamdulillah. Like, why am I going to question Allah's wisdom of saying you have to do this, but you don't have to do this? When men sometimes don't have to do things, but we do. You know what I'm saying? But it's that whole kind of, equal treatment situation, 100%. which kind of ignores biology and the reality of our lives as women. And we've been trained to do that, actually. And I think we talked about this on a different podcast, where if you came up in the school system, some would say is weighted towards females. And females tend to do better in the school system because of the way that we learn, etc. Right? So that's why you see now female levels of success are far outstripping men across the board in almost every culture, right? So in school, we compete directly with boys and we often win, right? And it's a system that's set up neutrally, right? It's not supposed to be a women's system or a men's system. It's just neutral. But I think what we forgot along the way is that we are women. And we have female bodies and female needs that change. So now you're hearing people have conversations about how the corporate system, for example, doesn't take into account a woman's cycle. Because we actually change, right? So it's not just like men say, oh, you women are emotional. That we change. At different stages of our cycle, we have different emotions that are predominant. We are more active at certain stages. We need more rest at certain stages. And that's actually how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. But we're obviously in a system that expects us to work like men do, which is more or less kind of like right? Mm-hmm. So it's just one of those things that we're learning, we're unlearning, we're relearning. And alhamdulillah, it's okay because generations before us had different understandings on things. Sometimes they understood things better. Sometimes they didn't understand things at all. But alhamdulillah for the ability to continue to learn, unlearn and relearn so that we can continue to optimize, inshallah, our experience as believers on this earth.
Definitely.
I don't know whether that answers the question for the sisters, inshallah, especially for the young mums.
It does, absolutely. It opens a bit of a can though. And I don't know if we can get into this with the time that we have, but we do, yeah? All right. So, because Sister Naima touches on like
hopefully
a few things.
It's a Sharia compliant can.
It's always a Sharia compliant can. We can't be a Sharia compliant organization
and not open non-Sharia compliant cans.
Yeah, exactly. Sister Naima, we've had plenty of people on our podcast, right? And sometimes the conversations, it still adheres to the Sharia, alhamdulillah ta'ala, but we explore many things and things that are very deep that maybe sometimes we've had to, sort of bring it back to the path. But this question is really about, because you've touched on so many things, right? You homeschool your children?
Oh, my kids are big now.
Okay.
No one's homeschooling anymore.
Did you homeschool your children?
I have done before.
So you've homeschooled your children.
Yes.
You're an author. You're also involved in the community heavily. You have a lot on your plate, right? Now, we've talked about, women and how they're very different to us, their fitrah, and how they're designed, and how the din comes in as a rahmah for that, right? It's a mercy, subhanAllah. But modern day society doesn't really take that into consideration or to account. And so we're really going to a path now. I think there's a bit of a rebirth of what we were discussing earlier in terms of men versus women, and that's quite unhealthy. How do you, or what can you tell sisters in order to sort of give them the encouragement or give them some nasiha to prevent them from burning out? And I'm only asking this because when you were talking earlier, I was thinking about social media and that active role that social media plays in breaking down that fabric or that structure that a woman should be comfortable in her natural state and not constantly feel like she has to compete against men, because that's not how we're designed, right? So is it part of the coping mechanism to understand the dangers of social media, right? Do you think that's one of the things? And I'll let you probably...
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of layers there. I think it's probably helpful for every one of us to look at our feed, right? Because the feed feeds you what you've been, obviously the algorithm works by giving you more of what you engaged with before, right? And some of our feeds can be extremely toxic, right? And it can be toxic from lots of different directions, right? I'll give you an example. If my feed is full of billionaires' secrets, right? You know those things that talk about billionaire families, this is what the wealthy do, or this is what the 1% do, and and you've got all of that. At a certain point on your journey, you felt that was necessary for you because you wanted to maybe get an insight into, what wealthy people do, the secrets of the 1%, blah, blah, blah. But what ends up happening is that you feed your brain so much of that content that you start to see everything in terms of wealth building, legacy, 1%, which on the surface doesn't sound bad, right? But that's not what I'm here for. It's not what I'm here for, right? I'm not on this earth to be of the 1%. I'm not on this earth to be a billionaire, right? And if we're being honest, a lot of those 1% and billionaires and the wealthy have got there in very questionable ways. And we don't want to address that, right? Capitalism is an unfair system. That's the truth of the matter, right? And some people win, majority of people lose. All right. Obviously, we don't want to be of the losers. We want to be of the winners. But I may decide at a certain point that, you know what? Consuming this much content on this, that comes from this particular worldview, is actually warping the way that I see things, right? And I think we can find that for so many different topics, whether it's marriage and relationships, whether it's money or fashion or clothes or weight loss or any of these things, right? So I think having a look at your feed to see what it is that you have been engaging with and responding, and asking yourself how you feel, right? Because for sisters, for women, I think one of the hardest parts of whether it's Instagram or Pinterest is the comparison with this aesthetic life. You know what I mean? And the thing is, there was a time, maybe 10 years ago, maybe a bit more, when there was no such thing as an aesthetic. That word was not something people used. There was no, it's an Instagram aesthetic. There was nothing like that. Life was just life. And of course, people out there took pictures, but you very rarely saw those pictures. But unless you get like a coffee table book and you'd going through it, you wouldn't have access to these well shot, well lit, beautifully designed spaces. magazines maybe, you know, these coffee table books, but that was it. Now, it's something you could literally spend a whole hour scrolling through. And what does that do? It sets in your mind the standard. That is what life should look like. That's what I want my life to look like, right? And the thing is, most of us, especially, I don't know how brothers are affected by this, but as women in general, I think very few of us are able to, it's not even real anyway. You know, oh, it's just staged or whatever the case may be. You know, we start to believe it. Like that is what a house should look like. That's what a bedroom should look like. This is what a holiday should look like. This is what a family should look like. And that comparison with an edited ideal is unhealthy because you are competing with a fiction. And it's the same with stuff that we consume in books, in films, in songs, in movies about relationships. It's a fiction. And you're here comparing your reality to a fiction. The fiction is going to win every single time, bro. Like there's no way that your reality with its ups and its downs and its lefts and its rights and its twists and turns is going to be able to compete, certainly aesthetically, with that fiction. So how can we cut the cord, right? We don't need those fictions to live a good life. Can they enhance our lives? Potentially, if they're used correctly, but we don't need them. All it does is it sets an unrealistic standard in your mind for whatever it is. Your kitchen setup, you know, your bathroom, your date night, or whatever the case may be. And then your life is found wanting. But you know what? I would much rather live whatever life that Allah has set for me and be content with that. I'd much rather that than have whatever Allah has blessed me with and be comparing it to the 5-star version out there. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I will never be satisfied. We can never have a Pinterest life. There's no such thing. It's a fiction. It's impossible. That potentially is for the Akhirah. You know, inshallah, in Jannah, we'll have, you know, the aesthetics, you know, coming out of our ears. But for now, for this life, how much energy are we putting to building what we truly believe is important in our own lives rather than comparing and trying to adjust what we have on the ground with what we see out there? So social media, for me, the biggest fitna of social media is the comparison, right? Then the other thing as well is herd mentality. Is this idea that certain things are, everyone's doing it, you know, everyone is doing it. Everyone thinks like that. And you see this happening, you know, and we've talked about this before, you know, whether it's, you know, men ain't whatever, or it's like red pill stuff or whatever the case may be. There's almost like an ideology that you subscribe to, and then your feed just fills up with that. It just fills up with that. And I think we were talking earlier about I can't remember the topic, but it made me think of the young men, for example, who came up with Andrew Tate and the rise of red pill podcasts and stuff, right? If you started watching Andrew Tate or red pill podcasts of different kinds, you know your feed is going to fill up with them, especially YouTube, right? And I think of the young men who may have consumed like hours and hours of that content, gave money to Fresh and Fit, you know, like gave them money on those live streams and everything because they thought these guys were like the real deal, you know, and they looked up to them and they admired them. And they were like, yeah, that's the life I want for myself. Women ain't, da, da, da. And I think about those young men who may have been in that space. And I wonder how those ideas impacted them in their lives and in their potential relationships, right? We had a lot of Muslim boys, you know, in that. And I think that there's still remnants of it, but it's morphed slightly into something a little bit different. I don't know what your thoughts are on it.
I think they're very weird in the fact that like some people have already like pertained to like, it's like an echo chamber kind of.
Yeah.
So a lot of people were learning, like the younger generation, like the 12-year-olds, the 13-year-olds were probably learning from these guys and like building a character because of them. But then you have like people that were like, who already like understood life from that perspective and who believed in that stuff, and they just basically found it as an echo chamber. But for me, I genuinely think that one of the worst things about all of this is like they sold you all like a dream. Now all of a sudden they're all America First podcasters, or they're like
they're grifters basically.
Like grifters, exactly. Yeah. So like in like for an example, there's not to name any names, I'm not in the mood for any legal rights issues or whatever, but there's some people that are like
What Suhail is about to say right now, we are not liable for. It is strictly on him.
It's not financial. So for me, there's like some people that like used to be on like podcasts and they're certain far right guys, yeah. And then like these far right guys all of a sudden jump on board with certain groups that aren't aligned with what they believe is, you know, whatever values that they hold.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, it's because X, Y, and Z told me to be like that, so we're doing that. And it's like,
how sad.
so where does your brain, when does your brain use itself?
And when does Islam come into that? Like we're Muslims that are following, like these are young Muslim men, some of them, that are following these guys, right? Now, you're looking at these guys as an example. If this culture was halal and this mentality of hubb dunya and buying whatever you want and instant gratification, let's go buy, like Sr Naima, I'll be honest with you, yeah? I said this on I actually maybe said it on a podcast before. I love Porsches. I'm a car guy.
Nice.
Right? For me, Porsche is like king, yeah? But I don't sit there all day thinking about buying a Porsche. Why? Because I know, regardless if I have a Porsche or not, it's all good. The car's going to get me from A to B.
It's just dunya.
Right? It's just dunya.
It's just dunya.
Right? It's just dunya. Like, it's gonna give, now, okay, we have the Rasul, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He gives us the best example of how to be an entrepreneur, a businessman, a father, a husband, a grandfather, you know, a cousin, a friend, a best friend. Yani, like we have him, we have his seerah. We've had the ulama come and talk to us about this. We've heard the seerah growing up. Why are our youth going to these people to learn how to be good men or thinking this is what it constitutes to be a good man? Like, I don't understand.
The best thing is like some guy, I don't know, there was a UFC fighter recently, he was an American guy, he beat Khamzat. And he gets up on after the post-fight press conference, he's like, gratitude's the most important thing in life. And I'm like, bro, like
gratitude's the most important thing.
Most important thing in life. And it's like, because we already knew this. You know what I mean?
No,
like,
right.
And the contradiction.
In our deen.
The contradiction, Yani, like, I know exactly who you're talking about. I know exactly what you're referring to. Yani, if you look at the pre-fight and the weigh-in, the guy was saying some stuff that was absolutely abhorrent. He was saying things that are just disgusting. Islamophobic, racial. He started talking about mothers and subhanAllah. And then he gets up and says, so anyone who's following these people, looking at them as role models, look at the contradiction, yeah? Did the Prophet, did he contradict himself? You know what I mean? Like, subhanAllah. Look at the inconsistency, sister.
It's true. But I think what's difficult for us in our day and age, and I think it's across generation, is hubb dunya is normalized across the board, right? So the Prophet ﷺ, as you say, he was the best example. But he didn't have in the dunya, especially for a large part of his life, he was suffering, right? The Muslims suffered at a certain point in their trajectory, okay, in their history, to the point that, as I think it was Aisha radiallahu anha who said that for a time, all that was had in the Prophet ﷺ's house was the two black things, dates and water. That's it, right? We ain't hearing that.
Right.
Nobody wants that.
So then what do you say about this, Sr Naima?
Nobody wants that.
Right. So like, I want to get your opinion on something.
Okay.
So if they lived on Al-Aswadain, and the flame wasn't lit in the Prophet's house for 2 consecutive moons, what happens if your wife gets upset with you because you haven't taken her to a restaurant for 3-4 days,
It's the same thing.
Has to be like a Wagyu steak. Suhail loves his Wagyu. He makes me take him out for Wagyu every 2 weeks.
But you see that what you've mentioned there, nobody wants to hear it.
No.
But it's true. But it's true because what we want is ease. And I'm not going to say, I'm here, Zahida, or whatever. No. We all want ease and comfort and to be successful and to do well and to give our kids better than we got and all of that stuff, right? But ultimately, that is our nafs. And I think that the conversation that Muslims are not having at the moment is, guys, the nafs is going to lead you astray. Yes, it's natural. Yes, it's human. Yes, it's normal. Yes, everybody feels that way. But the nafs, if you follow the nafs, if you allow the nafs to drive the bus, you will go astray. The nafs is there to be disciplined. It's there to be reined in and controlled. Because our nafs is not what's supposed to drive the bus. It is our iman that's supposed to drive the bus, right? So with the example of the Prophet ﷺ, compared to alpha male podcasters or whatever, right? That's dunya. That's success and status and wealth and women, and that's success in the dunya for a man, right? So of course, you had a lot of people saying, Islam is not against, men being men and all, it was a kind of mixed up with a lot of different messaging, right? But I think that the difficulty there is that it appeals to the dunya. And it's the same with, on the women's side, when you have women saying, take him for all he's got, make sure that, if he doesn't do X, Y, Z, is he even a man? A low value man could never, a low effort man could never. All of that societal messaging is dunya. Because guess what? What I've noticed on both sides, they never talk about deen and they never talk about character. And what did the Prophet ﷺ tell us? Seriously, we are like the most oblivious people because we've been given the cheat code for how to get through life and we just ignore it and we get sidetracked by other things. But the Prophet ﷺ said, a woman is married for 4 things. And then at the end he said, deen, and marry the one with deen so that your hand may be covered with dust. Okay, so deen for the woman, right? Even though there are other reasons why we choose our wife. When it comes to the man, what did the Prophet ﷺ say? He said, choose a man of deen and character, otherwise there will be much fitna in the earth. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. So all of us need to do some reflection and some self-accountability to say, if I think that I know better than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and his messenger, what kind of an outcome am I looking for? Like, what is it that I'm expecting from this? Allah's told us, it's very clear. You marry for certain things, you look for certain things, right? But I'm saying, okay, this is cool. Like, yeah. Like you can have deen and character, but do you have this and do you have that and do you have this? And yeah, mashallah, she's got deen and everything, but is she a 10? Like, okay, cool. But what game are you actually playing now? And what does winning look like to you? Because when we return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I always think about this. When we return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I think that all of us would like to be able to feel that we made our decisions for the right reasons and we trusted in Allah for the outcome, right? Because if you make a decision based on istikhara, right? You say you make a decision, you pray your istikhara, Allah opens the door for you, opens the way for you, alhamdulillah, and it doesn't work out. Was it a failure? Did you fail? Did you get haram from that? No, that was a good deed that you did. You did your due diligence. You prayed istikhara. You followed the signs of istikhara. The fact that it didn't work out or it fell through or whatever, this is in Allah's hands. Yeah, that's the outcome that we cannot control no matter what we try to do, no matter how we try to chop it up. You cannot control the outcome. So with sisters who are saying, put in the contract that he's not going to marry someone else, all of this stuff that we're trying to do to control the outcome, you can never control the outcome. You can never control the outcome. So stop trying to think that you can control the outcome. Again, it's about that letting go. Yep. It's that trust. It's that tawakkul that Allah's got my back. And whatever happens, it's because Allah allowed that to happen. Inshallah, it will be good for me, etc., etc. My heart is not attached to these dunya outcomes. It's attached to the akhirah. It's attached to Allah. It's attached to the return. It's attached to Allah's forgiveness. Because subhanAllah, we've seen in Gaza, in Sudan, in all of these places, right? People who hold on to their iman in spite of everything around them being destroyed. And I don't think we really deep how huge it would be. I think of my family. We're a very small family, subhanAllah. My dad's got 1 sister, my mom had 1 sister. Each of them had like 4 kids each, etc. So really small family. I have 5 children. My sister has 1, my brother has none. Like my older sister has 1. Very small family. Imagine if they were all wiped out. All 10 of them, 12 of them, or whatever. And you've got people who have lost entire lineages wiped out. But they still say, Alhamdulillah. They can still say, La ilaha illallah. They didn't tap out. They haven't tapped out. And here we are. Dad's there, mom's there, husband's there, kids are there, aunties there, cousins are here. Alhamdulillah, there's a roof over our heads. There's food on the table. There's safe roads to drive on. There's plans that you can make. We're living in a time of luxury beyond anyone's imagination. Think about this, yeah? Look at it on a historical trajectory. This is a time when more people have access to simple things like running water, like lights in the house, food on the table, meat every week, more than any other time in history, in the history of the world. And look how unhappy we are. Look how ungrateful we are. Look how nitpicky we are. And look how obsessed we are with having more. more of the good life, more of ease, more of luxury, more of name brands, more dunya. And I tell you, if we as just the Muslims who have the ability to want more, right? Those of us in the West, most of us, if we focused on more for Akhirah, we would change our homes. Wallahi, we would change our homes. We would change our communities. Our communities would not be seen by other people out there as like a waste of space. Do you know what I'm saying? We would be looking at how we can give back to our community, how we can give back to our societies, how we can change things, how we can build things. Not for us, not for my family, the Rockefellers or whatever, to have a family legacy, etc. No, but for the world, right? For the ummah, for the sake of Allah. And that ummatic thinking, that elevated thinking has escaped us because we are so individualistic and so hedonistic in that we just want pleasure, we just want good, we just want luxury, we just want khair, and okay, I'm going off on a tangent now, but it's like, it's stuff that we're not talking about. And I'm telling you, we need to be careful, because what's going to happen is we're going to get a slap in the face. And it's either going to be on an individual level to say, wake up, or it's going to be whole communities and whole societies where everything is just, the rug is pulled out from underneath you. And you're going to be starting from scratch again. And you're going to say, Ya Lahwi, I wish I had done X, Y, Z. Why were we so obsessed with this? Why didn't we focus on this? Why didn't we do that? We were so busy enjoying our lives and trying to just build up more and more and amass more wealth and luxury and stupid things like Louis Vuitton bags and things like that, that we lost sight of. We lost the plot. We lost the plot, mate. Mm-hmm. And a calamity will come that will bring us all to our knees, and we will wish we had paid attention. Do you think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does only the things that he talked about in the Quran? Back in the day? The whole societies are destroyed? Do you know what I'm saying? That whole lineages are removed, that everything that you built is brought down to the ground? I'm telling you, this stuff happens. And it happens sometimes on a village basis, sometimes on a civilizational basis. We're seeing it now. We're seeing civilizations being tested right now. Do you think the test is not going to come to us? So we as Muslims, we need to wake up. And it starts with us as individuals and us in our homes. Husbands and wives, please, you guys, your garments for each other. Stop taking this thing for a joke. You're going to be questioned about how you were in your home. Stop taking this thing for a joke. Stop taking the garment for granted. Because when Allah takes that garment from you, you're going to be crying, but it'll be too late. The tears will mean nothing because khalas, it's gone now. Your family's broken up, your kids don't want to speak to you and all of this kind of thing. So take care with this. Take care of each other. Value each other. Cherish each other. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given you this person for an appointed time. Amana. You will be questioned about how you were with this person. Don't look at them and think, oh, he doesn't even do this. Oh, she's not even that. Astaghfirullah. You know how many people there are single out there? You know how many people have been looking for years, can't find anybody. And here, mashallah, Allah has brought you someone, decent person. He's prepared to put up with you. She's prepared to put up with you. And you're taking her for granted. You're taking him for a joke, trying to bring him down, trying to pull her down and stuff like that. Stop it. Stop it. We are destroying our own homes right now. The only reason why the grandparents, maybe the parents had those long marriages is because they were patient with each other. That's the only reason why. Not because they were better people than us. Not because they didn't do madness. They did. They were human beings. But they knew that the key to a long marriage was patience. And they believed that they would be better together and to build for their family rather than saying, you know what, I'm fine, I'll be better off on my own.
I think you touched on a very interesting point, and it's true. I agree. And I concur with everything you've said. There is one thing I want to mention. Our parents and grandparents didn't have the same level of complexities that we have today. True. And that's not to say that we have an excuse. It's to say that we need to be more guarded.
True.
So we touched on social media a lot today.
But also, before you go on, they didn't have the same level of ease also.
They didn't have the same level of ease. I was about to go into how they didn't have the same accessibility as well to what Sister Naima was saying in regards to, eating meat. Like, Smeen Suhail eat a lot of red meat, as you can tell, right? MashaAllah. His beard is full and so is my belly, right? MashaAllah. So, what I'm getting at here is that, and you're touching on your family and the family numbers. I started doing maths. Now, according to Suhail's family, this is maybe like your entire family, one husband and wife, in terms of numbers, right? Because mashallah, Suhail here has, mashallah, a very big family. They're, usually where they're from in Lebanon, it's a village called Mishmish. I don't know if you've heard of it.
No.
They have usually 10 brothers and 10 sisters per family, mashallah.
So there's only 7 aunties and uncles.
Only 7?
From one
Only
side.
7. From one side. From one side.
Disappointing.
So, so they didn't have the same challenges, yeah? And so that means that I feel like we need to be more guarded. It's so important, this day and age. Sure, they had more patience, 100%. But they didn't have the fitna. They didn't have that, we're talking about the nafs al-amara before. And how you're constantly chasing that nafs, and are you allowing your nafs al-amara to dictate how you steer the ship, or what else I want you to do? This is their mentality, and almost today we're stripped so much of that we're almost allowing technology, what we think is reality, like you said, which isn't reality, this is fictional, to sort of set the precedent, and to almost like we've got a horse and carriage, right? And the horse that's galloping for us is now something that isn't legit.
Well, it's not trained.
It's not trained.
It's not trained. It's not disciplined at all. It's following whatever. It's
what we call an untamed, what is it in Arabic? Haywan alif.
Crazy horse. Wild horse.
Yeah.
Wild horse. It's like,
right?
it's like, you know what, subhanAllah, that's a fantastic analogy. It's almost like in today's day and age, we have, whereas our grandparents hitched their cart to a donkey, which, responded to the pull of the reins and everything. It's a donkey at the end of the day, okay? Donkeys, we know what donkeys do.
Steady,
slow and steady. We've hitched our cart to a wild stallion, which itself doesn't know where it's going. It's just following desires this way. I want to go fast. I want to slow down and eat over here. I want to veer off the path over there. I want to go up that hill over there. That's what it feels like sometimes, subhanAllah.
You know what? I think that this is probably like, because we have to... time is of the essence, subhanAllah. And thank you so much, Sr Naima, for joining us, and for Olive Tree Events for making this happen, subhanAllah. But we are running out of time, and I think we have only one more question to ask. And subhanAllah, this question, even though, by the way, I wish we could do a two-part series, but we don't have
next time, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah, inshallah. But we usually ask all of our guests this final question on this podcast. So MCCA is an Islamic finance and investments firm. So even though we've spoken a lot about Qiraat dunya, Hab dunya wa Qiraat al-Maut, I think one question also would be amazing to hear from your perspective is what's one financial or piece of financial advice or something that you live by that's pretty much stuck with you and has maintained you?
Bismillah, Jazakallah khairan for asking me that question and allowing me this opportunity to give my da'wah, which is write your will. Write your will. Everyone should have a will. Anybody, we know the Prophet ﷺ said that a Muslim should not go 3 days without a will. If you have any assets, please write your will. That is the first thing, because especially my brothers and sisters who've got businesses and bank accounts and properties and land back home and all of this kind of thing, you must get a list of all those assets, because whoever is left, whether it's the wife who's left behind or the husband who's left behind, if you haven't compiled all that information, they are going to be in the dark. And a lot of mad stuff can happen when things are not written down. You know what I'm saying? You only own 50% of the company, for example. Your wife thinks you own the whole thing. Next thing, the partner comes and says, no, actually, I own the whole thing. and there's no paperwork, there's no nothing. So get your affairs in order, right? And then look at investing for legacy. I think that's a really, really important part of things, whether it's trusts, right? Setting up a trust for your kids, whether it's investing in property on behalf of your kids or putting property in children's names and things like that. Think of this in terms of whatever I'm doing here, I will be leaving it at some point. In what state do I want to leave it? And trying, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put you in a particular place where you actually have surplus capital, looking at generational wealth and how generational wealth is actually built. Many of us don't know, how that works. So looking into that, there's certainly a thing that, I had to pay attention to when my late husband passed away, because he did not have a will. And so I had to, alhamdulillah, Allah gave me the ability, and only because of Allah's grace, that I was able to see, okay, this is what's available. How can we preserve this for the children? Buy some property, do whatever, because we didn't have anything. You know what I'm saying? And alhamdulillah, because of that moment of clarity that Allah gave me, Alhamdulillah, my children have something behind them, but many of us don't ever think like that. We spend maybe more than we should. We don't save or invest as much as we should. So halal stocks and halal trading and gold and silver and property and land, these are all things that, there are, mashallah, many services, including your own, I'm sure, that can guide you in order to make the right decisions. But you basically, if you're earning for today, save a little for tomorrow, but invest for your future and your children's future, inshallah.
That's a brilliant way to say it.
Girl, I'm just going to put it straight out. That was the best response we have ever had on this podcast. And we've had financial experts on our podcast. We've had people that are like experts in our field. And subhanAllah, Sister Naima, I don't know if you've studied any form of Islamic finance and investments. Okay.
We might have a new...
I'm not surprised.
What do you reckon? We get her a
Next
job
time?
at MCCA?
Ambassador for MCCA, inshallah. Wow, that answer has much... I want to say this, right? This is actually, I was going to ask you not to ask Sister Naima that question, right? And the reason being is that we went in a certain trajectory in the podcast that I felt was actually quite beneficial to the community. And I didn't want to cheese it out with a question that was financial related because MCCA is a financial institution. Sure, we are. But I'm so happy you asked the question and I'm so happy with that answer because it's so important. And we forget that. SubhanAllah, my mother, when I was leaving to go to Saudi during Ramadan, I said, Mum, do you need anything from me? She said, I just need your will. Right? And I said, Habibi, I don't have a will. And she said, what do you mean you don't have a will?
Wow.
I said, I don't have one. She said, but you have a son. And so I had to write out a will. And
good job, Mum.
And subhanAllah, the stuff that came out of that will was I had to release some secret information she didn't know about. And she said, I didn't know this about you. I said, well, it's the truth, Mum.
This is it.
If I die.
The thing is, this is it, right? Because you, and I think maybe because my late husband was, mashallah, provider, very business oriented, very businessman. And I was busy. I had the kids. I know we have to finish up. I was busy with the kids. I had the magazine, I had the books. I didn't have anything to do with his business, right? And so there were a lot of things that I had no idea about, not because he was being secretive, because he was like, I'm handling things. And as a man, that's kind of you. I'm just handling things. It's good. I'm good. But anything can happen. And so to avoid your wife having to basically be in the dark about stuff, or for people to pull, the wool over her eyes as well, because people be doing that. Make sure that she has the full breakdown, even if it's in a will that gets sealed and you only open it when I'm dead. At least do that, inshallah, as a courtesy. Bismillah.
Naima, wallahi, we really enjoyed this podcast. I wish we could have done a part 2, subhanAllah, but
next time, inshallah.
May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you.
Ameen.
And thank you for spending whatever time you had in Australia with us on this podcast. So please, everybody, like, comment, subscribe. Inshallah, I'm going to put all of Sister Naima's links. You probably already know her more than us anyway. But I'm also going to put Olive Tree because we couldn't have done this without them as well. So thank you so much. And inshallah, we'll see you next time.